Good morning, gentlemen, ladies, Pak Sandi. How shall I call you, Pak? Minister or no? Pak Sandi, is that okay? Thank you, Pak. So, distinguished fellow, Dr. Sandiaga Uno, Pak Sandi, and Dr. Robert Bong, who's CEO and Chief Designer, Blue Ocean Global Network and Blue Ocean Academy. Please allow me to open this roundtable by welcoming all of you, our guests for today. We have Mr. Haris Shim, yes. Haris Shim, he's the CEO of Job on Demand, which is a tech company in human resources, trusted to provide gigs, trusted gigs, right, for freelancers. It's quite interesting. We have spoken a little bit this morning. And then Pak Falah, who's next to him, is Managing Director, or are you Direktur Utama, ya? Direktur Utama, PT Selaras Anam Sena, is an IT company also, focusing on health, safety and environment. Currently, more in the energy sector, but aspiring to perhaps go to the tourism sector. Okay. And then Mr. Ian Betts, who's managing partner of Castle Asia, an international business consultancy. Thank you for joining us again this time. And then Pak Andika Sudarma, you already know well. Yes, very famous, I believe. CEO of Deals Job, who's also a tech company, right? And wonderful things that you're doing with the mentoring and everything. We'll talk further. And then Pak Doni, we met also this morning. He's CEO from Smart Services, providing complete services for parking and guard, yeah, for many premises. Yeah, we will talk further. For 14 years already, ya, Pak. And then we have Pak Alexander Yahya, CEO Sandynamics, and Pak Fitra. How are you, Pak? Senior Economist Samuel Securitas. Both Pak Alex and Pak Fitra are supporting you, yeah, Pak, Dr. Sandi, in his role as Distinguished Fellow. And I also would like to introduce our guests who are deputies to Pak Sandi. Ibu Martini Muhammad Paham, betul ya, Bu? Deputi Bidang Sumber Daya dan Kelembagaan. Dan Bapak Anggara, Pak Anggara Hayun Anujuprana, Direktur Akses Pembiayaan. Betul ya, Pak? And then Dr. Robinson, oh maaf, selamat pagi, Pak. Dr. Robinson Hasoloan Sinaga, Direktur Regulasi. Dan Ibu Yulia, nama tengah saya kebetulan sama, Bu. Direktur Hubungan Antar Lembaga, Deputi 2. Okay, welcome. And then we have introduced Dr. Bong already. And then myself, Natasha Fei, I'm a facilitator for today. It's an honor always, Pak, to be able to be here among all of you. And I am a case method person, a researcher, writer and facilitator, so hopefully I can help the discussion today. So before we start, I was asked to introduce you. I don't think we need to introduce you, but it's part of the agenda. So just very quickly, Pak, a man of vision, of course, we all believe, bringing spirit of innovation, collaboration to our economy. Your agenda, which you will be speaking shortly, is articulating the innovative economic concept known as Sandinomics. And as Deputy Governor of Jakarta, we all are very familiar with OKOC program, ya, Pak? And you open doors, you help small traders, entrepreneurs to access a broader market. And as Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, you build collaborative network between government, business stakeholders, and the community. Again, creating job opportunities in various related sectors such as hospitality, restaurants, and tourism services. I hope this is representing you, Sandy. Thank you so much.
Probably more.
Thank you. All right, so I am asked to start with giving you an idea of the process of our discussion. So what is the flow? And first of all, time-wise, it's 60 minutes. So 60 minutes until Pak Sandi later on finishes with his responses to you. So 60 minutes all total, and after that we'll have lunch. And then CEOs present will respond to some questions that are hopefully curated enough for you, okay? And distinguished fellow Pak Sandi will then respond. And this is, we invite you to, I don't know whether you prefer to do it at the end, Pak, or maybe in the middle when you feel like, you know, this is something that you'd like to express already. So please feel free to inform. Okay, any questions? No? Okay, so that's the flow. And before we start off, and before even Pak Sandi's speak, I would like to invite Dr. Bong, Dr. Robert Bong, right, to speak a little bit about our agenda and the tone, basically, of the dialogue, and what would be the expected outcome from this speech. Thank you.
Very good morning, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to these sessions, our Blue Ocean Strategy Fellowship Program. This is our second series, and thank you for taking the time on Sunday away from your family, and beautiful Sunday. Thank you very much. Okay, and I just want to say a few things about Blue Ocean Strategy. Actually, many of us actually have heard about it applying in the private sector, in the industry. We have books, we have articles, we have cases, but I don't so sure that a lot of us actually heard about the application of Blue Ocean Strategy in the public sector or in the people economy. We have done a lot about this in the last 25 years, and with articles written on it as well. And we're very, very privileged to have Pak Sandi as our distinguished fellows for this series of Blue Ocean Strategy Fellowship Roundtable. So just this morning, I was having run with our Honorable Minister. During the 1 hour, I was so pleasantly surprised to understand a little bit more. You can see how our minister is so fit that he could run, and he spoke to me for 1 hour about his idea about Blue Ocean, how he uses Blue Ocean's idea and thinking and concept to, in his work, contributing, boosting the economy of the nation, as well as helping to create job, basically the life and improving the life and livelihood of every single Indonesian. I was very, very impressed, so that I never felt tired during the run because the story was so impressive. Now, I will let our Honorable Minister to share a lot more about how this what he has done successfully and how he intends to do this more. So Blue Ocean's strategy is always behind this initiative. We are very proud and very privileged to be working for our Honorable Minister, and also to be able to meet all of you. So I don't want to say anything more, but let's hear from our distinguished fellow himself, and after which I invite every one of you to contribute by sharing your view as well. So with that, Buneta, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bong, and for all the encouragement. And we'll talk a little bit again just before we start. But before that, oh, Pak Sandi, please finish your...
Okay.
Floor is yours, Pak.
I just had the urge to have some kind of meal, little meal before our short session. Thank you, Ibu Neta, Dr. Bong. Thank you, gentlemen. There's no lady from the CEO side, but we have two ladies from the ministry side for agreeing to attend this session. And I'm so sorry, it was supposed to be yesterday, but there was a cabinet meeting called yesterday on the final preparations for World Water Forum. So it has been pushed to Sunday, and I just realized because Sulaiman, my younger son, saying that, why are you wearing business? And it was supposed to be a tie. And I asked my very able and capable private secretary, Fajrin, why do we wear this on a Sunday? It's like we're going to church. So he said, no, it is required by the ASMEN. So this is typical how bureaucrats respond. It is a dress code, but I said it's Sunday. We're supposed to be relaxed and saying, but anyway, I'm so sorry that you have to wear batiks, wear suits on a Sunday. I was supposed to be pleasant. And thank you, Dr. Bong, for agreeing to run with me as a prelude this morning. And you were so strong. So much so that I created a pantun for you. That I will repeat pantun. This morning, I had the pleasure to run with Dr. Bong. I didn't realize he's almost 70. You are really very strong. Guys, keep on running, keep healthy. So this is the third series of the activities, and Blue Ocean Strategy Fellowship is really, I'm really honored to be a fellow, and together working with Pak Fitra and Pak Alex, we did the two sessions before with Martin and with the team on my back, with Farah helping out. So we really thank the Blue Ocean for these three sessions, and really happy to be working with the team. And I just realized some of my ideas when I was in private sectors and moving into the public sectors actually have some remnants of the design and the architecture of a blue ocean thinking. But I just didn't realize back then. But then, having been a fellow, it put into context. And for that, I have another gift of pantun for Blue Ocean. But because this is done by an Indonesian specialist, so it has to be in bahasa. Indonesia punya laut terbentang biru. Hutannya rimbun, warnanya hijau. Para pelaku usaha dan CEO, mari kita bersatu untuk bangun ekonomi Indonesia semakin maju. I'll be very quick because we want to hear from you more. And the reasons you guys are here is because the topics is job creations. Who created jobs in this country and many other economies are the private sectors, in particular the small medium enterprises and also startups. And who created the deals? You guys. How about cost of living, which is second of the topic, the issues and making affordable prices center stage in our discussions is you guys also. The government should facilitate, the government should not only regulate but also let the private sectors in terms of being the locomotive of a nation's building in terms of the economy and the livelihood of the people. So basically throughout my years in the private sectors, I've used evidence-based and data-driven. And through I was thinking about the car-free day. We were running this morning with Dr. Bong, and I just realized that this is actually blue ocean, because back in early 2000, there's no car-free day. And the governor back then was Pak Sutioso, retired general, 3-star general. And I've been road runners for a long time, just like Pak Fitra and Pak Alex. And we could not find a place where we could run on the road because, as you know, Jakarta traffic and so on and so forth. So I introduced this concept of allowing at least a couple of hours on a Sunday to Pak Sutioso back then. And he asked me, who wants to run outside in a very extreme hot weather like this? I said, Pa, if it's done in the morning, there are people who would want to use, because we are lacking public space. So he sort of like half-heartedly agreed back then, yeah, but let's do it on a trial. 2 hours max, one Sunday every month. So that started the car-free day, at least with a group of community pushing it to him. And then now you see it by yourself, that after 20 years, the car-free day is quintessential to Jakarta Sundays, but also to other cities across Indonesia, whereby public space is not that available, but we are creating it through a blue ocean concept, trying something that is not there, and allowing the government to do sort of like revisions and innovations of the strategies in terms of providing public space by creating this car-free day. Similar to my start of Saratoga, the private equity company, the private equity firm back then, I sort of like stumbled upon the idea of private equity because at that time there is no known Indonesian-led private equity group. But we understand the market, we understand the industry. We know that there are foreign investors who wants to invest here, and they got good advice from Jim back in the early Castle Asia days. But they need partners to co-invest with them and making assurance that they're not making the wrong investments. So we created Saratoga to become part of their partners to invest and holding their hands and making sure that we put skins in the game. We're not just taking fees, but we put skins in the game. And this is also by way of data-driven and evidence-based. Moving into my role in the government, I use data-driven and also evidence-based, and I found that two topics continue to be top of mind of Indonesians, which are jobs. They need good quality jobs, and also they want to have a stable cost of living. So the income that they have would not be eaten by the rising cost of living. So I know you're specialist, Ibu Neta, on Harvard case. This is something that I simulate when my first job in the government at the governor's office, being a vice governor, I also approach it. And the OKOC program is actually focused, driven on how jobs are created by who? By small, medium enterprises. Because 97% of the jobs are created by the small, medium enterprises. And when it comes to public service, we know that the innovations are driven by the private sectors. The government have institutional discipline. So we need to collaborate on a PPP basis. Nothing to do with my new party, the the PPP party, which struggling to make 4%. But it's public-private partnership. So we started this partnership on a blue ocean basis in when I was vice governor. One of the areas that people thought that Jakartans put in the top of their mind, but that's not basically data-driven, is actually two things: traffic and flooding. It actually land at number 7 to number 8 in the top of mind of Jakartans. The top two are jobs and prices. Traffic and flooding are number 7 to number 8. And when I took the job, it actually fell outside the top 10. Because majority of Indonesians majority of Jakartans don't have cars. Only less than 30% of Jakartans have cars. 70% have motorcycles, and they don't really complain about traffic. So one problem I had with, at that time, the horrendous traffic in Tanah Abang. So the blue ocean idea that, this is before I met Dr. Bong, was to say, and this is I adopted from Mayor Bloomberg's innovations on dealing with traffic in Times Square in New York. It's basically during one of the sessions, traffic is horrendous in Times Square. How do you solve traffic congestions in Times Square? So one young intern said, while photocopying, saying that this might be a stupid idea. Traffic is caused by cars. Why don't we ban cars from crossing the Times Square? Like closing the Broadway street, which is like in the middle of Times Square. And that idea was actually adopted and tried. And it was met with a lot of resistance. And at the end of the trial of the policies, actually traffic congestion went down 7 to 9%. And this is, Doni's would have the same probably idea. As we are seeing, at that time, Tanah Abang had the same issue. And because of parking, because of people stopping. So we made the decisions to make it a car-free Tanah Abang and putting the small micro entrepreneurs stalls on the street and later on off the street by creating this elevated areas. Traffic went down by 12%. But then, of course, a lot of resistance, a lot of complaints, and the netizens felt that they are always right. But this is something that I did. Now, I believe that this Blue Ocean Fellowship is cementing the adaptations, innovations, and collaborations credo that we need to have both in the government and the private sectors. And that's why we invited the top leaders here. We want to hear, as we navigate through economic uncertainty. By the way, we should be grateful. Other economies are struggling to grow. Indonesia is still growing at 5%. There's also weakening of rupiah exchange rate. It's good for tourism, but I should not say that because it makes Indonesia competitive, and it's good for export of our creative economy products because it's cheaper, but many of the business probably wouldn't agree. But also we have geopolitical issues, we have tensions in Asia, we have wars now in Ukraine and Russia, in the Middle East. So how do we navigate ourselves in the broader sense of developing Indonesia, but in particular tourism and creative economy, how technological disruptions could actually assist us in terms of using these innovations, adaptations, and collaborations. I remember reading the book. There are at least three areas that stood out if you have a chance to read the Blue Ocean book. First is the air fryer. There's innovations that even even Oprah Winfrey really, and by the way, we bought it, my daughter bought it in Boston, and it actually makes frying not only less cumbersome, but also healthier. Because fried food is known to be bad for your health. But these innovations will cause fried food to taste the same, crispy, but involve less cooking oil. And that's very good for Pa Alex, who likes gorengan, this fried stuff. So air fryer, great example on this Blue Ocean. The Malaysians' case of reforming the jails, community. So jails have been known in the past as always overcrowded, and it's basically people have to go through tough times in jails. But in the Malaysian case, through collaborations with other agencies, it becomes a community rehabilitations, and people go out with different skills so that they don't have to go back and to the crimes they perpetrate in the past. And then the third one is the red dot or red nose comedy fundraising. When you are in social fundraising, you get tired of people sending proposals, wants to get, especially you're in business, getting CSR and something like that. The Red Nose Foundations actually changed that you contribute by this Red Nose and bringing in comedy into fundraising. So the pitch that you're listening for CSR is no longer just a normal pitch that you have been receiving, but in the part of comedy. So these three examples are great. I think a very good case. I really want to invite Pa Andre, my very good friend from Bluebird. Unfortunately, I don't see him in the room. But Bluebird is, the name is the same, Blue Ocean, Bluebird. It's a company that actually, because when I remember in the old days when I was just moved from Sumatra, my dad, and I was born in Sumatra, we moved to Jakarta. And even back then, Bluebird is the first transportations company that allows you to book the time by telephone, and within 15 to 30 minutes, Bluebird was there. In the past, you normally hail a taxi, a yellow taxi called President Taxi. But Bluebird disrupt that, and these technological disruptions even further to online transportations. Go through the pandemic, they have adapted and they went successful through it. I actually want to listen from Andre how he did it. And I think I want to listen to Pak Doni, my good friend Pak Andika, and Pak Haris, Pak Falah, and also from you, Ian, how your business actually changed and adapt. And maybe we didn't realize that you guys have been using a blue ocean thinking, whereby you treat competitions to create innovations, and you actually flourish by way of collaborations. And something that I think we have been able to do. I also wanted to invite Manov from Rumah Siap Kerja. It's classic, well, it's not really classic, but out of the 2017 governor race, I was able to create OKOC, and now it's a movement of around 600,000 entrepreneurs creating about 2.4 million jobs, mainly the SMEs, sort of like adaptations of empowering, providing training, as well as giving access to marketing and also funding. But in 2019 presidential race, which I lost, unfortunately, I was 5 years too early. My current, the president-elect now was my running mate 5 years ago. But after the 2019 elections, we also created, based on these jobs and the economic platform that I was going to create should I get the vice president's post back then, I turned it into a social entity called Rumah Siap Kerja. And after around 4.5 years now, Rumah Siap Kerja have about 300 employees and providing jobs training also for some of the required young Indonesians wanting to go to the job market. So this is the type of how we can deal with issues at hand. And thank you again very much for being here. And I close with another pantun. Akhir pekan liburan ke Ciomas. Jalannya macet, jadi cari jalan pintas. Jangan lupa prinsip kerja keras demi terwujudnya lapangan kerja dan Indonesia emas. Thank you, and I shall give Ibu Neta to moderate the discussion here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think another round of applause to Bapak, yeah? And the pantun, yeah, Pak, three pantun already. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so the two pillars, I think, have been expressed very clearly by our distinguished fellow, and that would be the basis of our discussions, ya Pak, ya? So how are you, the CEOs, navigating this, in this environment, in this challenging environment? And I would like to start with the question to one of you first, and then as we go from one CEO to another, we would like to invite you, Pak, ya, distinguished fellow, Pak Sandi, to give comments, just collectively, Pak. So no need to be too specific to one. So if anything you would like to conclude and build on, this is the forum. So and then once you gave your response, then we can go back to other CEOs so that we can hear from everyone. That's the idea. All right, and then at the end, again, we would love to hear from you again, as a conclusion, what it is that we can work together, or what it is that the ministry can provide, yeah, in terms of facilitation, basically, because it's actually in the hands of the business people, as you mentioned, in the hands of private sector. Okay, so this question is specific to one business at a time, and please feel free to be open. Okay, maybe no need to give too much of examples, but on a policy level, we can just stick on the policy level so that everyone can get the gist of it. Okay, so thank you so much. Let's start with Salaras. Is that all right, Mas Falah? He wants me to call him Mas. I called him Pak this morning. So Mas Falah from Salaras. We talked a bit about your industry. So you are in this IT company, right? And software development. And now with the market in the energy sector, which is very big, you are actually one of the only local player at the moment. Is that correct? In the safety inspection application, for example. That's one of your business, right? And we learned that you say building work culture. I mean, it sounds like a big homework. You told us a little bit about that. There's a challenge there, right? But you have navigated around, you tackled it in a way. But if you can share that here, and because what you are building is a complex product, right? Requiring complex skills, and that's probably the root of the problem. But it could also be an opportunity, right? So you said that they're not readily available. IT expertise is still not as much as needed or expected, yeah? So please talk a little bit about that. And then what is it that your business expect from other stakeholders, including the government, to help grow your business, not just in terms of what we just mentioned, but also in terms of market and others. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone, ladies and gentlemen, Pak Sandiaga, distinguished guests. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fala. So right now I'm running a small business, like startup, I would say, focus on the IT product, but especially on the health, safety, environment HSE. And we saw the market, so we moved to the energy sector, like oil and gas, and then mining, construction, fertilizer, so on. So thank you very much for this opportunity to discuss. I think for this business is quite complicated, because first, when we talk about the people, it's so hard to find the youth digital talent to concern about the process safety or product safety in HSE. Because for example, in oil gas industry, we need looking for the assessment or inspection, and the safety man from, I would say for the safety man, looking for the tools, technology for the inspection. And they're always looking for the paper-based method to do a checklist. And we saw that a huge gap between from the senior and junior to give the information. We saw the lack of the communication, and then it's quite gap communication, I would say. And so that's why we propose for the digital application for the inspection based on the mobile apps and the web based. And finally, I think I will say about the work culture, because when I saw the factory, and that guy like saw me like, okay, Mas Fala, how old are you? Do you have the capacity? Something like that. Because this year I'm 28 years old, and that guy like 50 or 60 years old. And they all ask me like, Mas Fala, could you do it or something like that? And that's of the perspective in Indonesian business. Because when I studied at England, they don't saw that thing. They saw about the professionalism, the quality something. But when I moved to Indonesia, I got that bad experience, I would say. But it's encouraged me to prove that thing. So I think for the businessman, we need to understand about the culture aspect, because you cannot see on the Harvard Business Review, I would say. So we have the unique theory, I would say. And then when I want to give that solution, I use the blue ocean thinking. I'm focusing on the untapped gaps and creating a culture shift. So the strategy to convince that guy, I recruit the teacher or the old people who mentor that guy. Like beyond maybe around 70 years old, to help me to convince that people because that product is useful. And you know, when I was in university, I cannot get that knowledge. And it's, you know, in my perspective, it's quite hard to convince that people when we compare to make that coding for or mobile apps. So yeah, when you the blue ocean thinking, we must make, you know, the market, right, cultural safety. And then we made the kind of safety training to learn like LMS, learning model system, to help the people to do the self-paced, to do the, do it by own. Because on the, you know, on the BUMN, Indonesia State Owned Enterprise, is quite the bureaucracy, but it's so hard to convince that people. And yeah, it's related with the policy, right? Because they have like undang-undang or kind of that peraturan from the ministry too. And for me, for the local vendor, when we knock the door, it's quite hard because we need to understand about role, and then we need to understand about the top-down culture, right? For the ministry to give instruction for that people. And I know it's, once again, it's quite hard to do that thing. Anyway, maybe for the Pak Sandiaga and team from the Ministry of, from the tourism something, maybe I want to give a kind of suggestion maybe, Pak. Yeah, because I'm from the health safety environment, and the ministry quite focused on the cleanliness, health, safety, environment sustainability, CSE. I think it will be elaborated with the digital tourism, right? Because in my opinion, when we make the interplay between that standard with digital tourism, we can create a synergy effect to enhance the tourism experience, maybe promote public health, and then make the tourism industry resilience. That's the quite perspective. Because on my perspective for the digital aspect, when we for the youth talent get chance to make a mobile apps, maybe to track and has tourism safety, for example, like real-time data, like weather condition, Pak, maybe GPS recognition, or for tracking and the health emergency. I think we need to focus on that perspective for the stakeholder. I think, that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Fala. Mas Fala. Thank you so much. So with the digital tourism that we talked about also this morning, increasing the welfare of the people, because they can work anywhere, and maybe in an inspiring environment, right? And therefore also creating quality jobs holistically. Yeah, I think that would be the conclusion to yours. Thank you for your contribution and your ideas as well. I had a question for Pak Andre, but he's not present. Pak Doni, if I may, we want to hear from you, just to so that all of us here know. You've been in the market for 14 years, trusted in 30 cities currently, 40 now, okay. So you work with a number of premises, and from my understanding is once you get the contract is a 3 to 5 year contract, and you're basically given the responsibility to run it, right? To run it completely. So from the system to the people, everything. And some of the challenges that you express right now is efficiency from the part of your clients. So you still have to be trusted and secure with fewer people. And that eats up also your margin, right? A little bit, okay. So the question is, Pa Doni, is we are dealing with workers that are, how would you call it? Low skilled, or what is the very low skilled? Okay, very low skilled, but the responsibility is very high, right, in terms of security, and with the numbers that are also pressed, right? So that would be, what is the gap in the technology, because you're building the technology and yet they are less skilled. Is that a big problem for you? Just to confirm first.
If you call it, it's a problem, it's not a problem, it's a challenge for me, right? It's a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is there something that you are looking at that can be done, that can be supported? Because because it can also be impacted by other things, right? Because we talked about affordability. I mean, there are other reasons for that turnover. We talked about that, right? And how to get them, and what happens if you lose them. And you've been losing people also. Once they are getting better, once they're getting more skilled, then you lose them. That's a classic case, right, in you. So tell us about that. What is your policy? How do you run this profitably? And then perhaps any requests or ideas you have for the government and other stakeholders here, because we also mentioned we have friends who can probably help you also in the recruitment. Yeah, we're here. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Okay, please.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Doni. You can call me Doni. I'm the founder and CEO of Smart Parking. Been managing parking lots since 2010. I'm tukang parkir, Pak. And also we've provided security guard. Jadi saya selain tukang parking, I'm a satpam too also, Pak. I'm also the chairman of Asosiasi CEO Mastermind Indonesia, Bosman. Yeah, which Pak Sandi always give us insights and everything for the last 9 batch, always be there. Also, Pak Gita also. I'm investing in Malang Skyline also, Pak. Jadi ada tempat wisata di Karangploso di Malang. Fruiters also, the coconut water that you always drink, yeah. And yeah. And my company just do IPO last March, MPX, yeah. MPX, Pak. Oh yes, sir. In this, I learned a lot from Pak Sandi. We call it VUCA situation now, volatile and uncertain. And the problem is more complex now and ambiguity. So the first thing that I did is, we have to be the cost leader, right? In this kind of situation, we have to be frugal. Not be pelit, but be hemat. We have to efficient all of the cost, right? Second is, we have to expand our network so we can have better supplies, better customer, right? And then we invest in human and technology, because the demand from our clients now, I have to give a better service with less cost for them, so the profit for them will expand more. That's the problem. The solution is one of the solution is we use technology. When we use technology, the human are going down because we use technology to cut our cost. And the technology is replacing the human. I've been invited to this kind of event like 12 years ago in Jakarta, Pak. So Dinas Tenaga Kerja, Dinas Perhubungan, Dinas Pendapatan Daerah invited me, and all of the parking service. Back then, the Department of Department Keuangan, Finance, ya, Department of Finance itu lagi pushing our cashless payment system. Cashless payment system. The problem from the Dinas Tenaga Kerjaan is how you can use this payment digital or cashless payment system without reducing the human the employee. I don't have the answer, Pak. Ya kan? You have to use technology that will substitute the human, and how can we use them, right? So, in my company, I built another division, security, Pak, Satpam, and then courier. The courier is now expanding more. We use Si Cepat, JNE, JNT use our service. Now already like 3,000 people, Pak, under us for the courier, and we can shift our parking attendants guys that is substitute by the machines to the courier business. The problem in my sector is, Pak Sandi, is the perizinan, Pak. Yeah, perizinan is so like now we are using OSS, but in the Bekasi, in Tangerang, it's not connected. When I enter our NIB or something like that, they cannot detect my company, Pak. So I cannot pay the tax. And then the Bapenda will come to us and give us denda. The problem is I cannot register my company because the OSS is not connected. And then yang kena denda is my company, Pak. So if I want to like bypass that, I need to like give under table something lah, Pak. That is the main problem in my industry, in the parking industry, Pak. So yeah, that's it maybe, Bu Neta. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Doni, for being open and also inspiring us to, I think, go deeper. So the issue is clear, as you said, and that in turn will then impact, I think, the price, affordability that we are looking at, because there's an issue in the cost, but then the way you navigate it, you diversify, but that's probably not the only solution. So thank you very much. So I would like to go back to the job creation. Okay, and Bapak Andika, yeah, can we start again with you? Back, Mas, yeah, okay, I think, yeah, agree. Okay, Mas Andika from Deal's Job. Okay, very impressive. You started in the pandemic era, right? 2020, and is it correct that the numbers here, 5,000 jobs curated?
I think it's more than 10,000 now, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's great. And you have mentors, 5,000, even more now?
I think, yeah, more
Okay.
5,000-ish.
5,000. So, I think the beauty of your business is you're looking at not only helping the businesses, but you're looking also at the job seekers, correct? Because you're saying that the experience of the job seekers, you need to make a revolution to that. That is what you said in the, and so, but again, your client is the B2B, right? You're looking at businesses, big businesses like McKinsey, Google, L'Oreal. These are, they become mentors also to your pool of talents. Yeah. Do you see, so what is then the main issue? Is it readiness? Is it job fit? And is it now in your own responsibility, or are you really working together? And, what is actually the ideal world for you? Because you're curating it. Curating is a job of, I don't know, who's actually responsible for this, in your view, please?
Thank you so much, Buneta, for the opportunity. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Bong, for becoming, I think, the sponsor of this event, the Blue Ocean Strategy Fellowship. Very amazing event where we can all learn from each other. Pak Sandi, Indonesia's legendary businessman, investor, philanthropist, and now statesman. Can we give him a round of applause again? Thank you, everyone. And also Bu Vera, Bu Dia, and also Matt, Bu Yulia. Thank you so much for organizing this. Distinguished delegates and guests. So let me first explain what Deals is about. So Deals is Indonesia's largest local job portal. Like among all, we are probably the third or fourth after LinkedIn and JobStreet. Mayora, Video, Modena, Mega, Bukopin, Sinarmas, Orang Tua Group are some of our clients. And what we do is very simple. We help companies hire good talents. People always say, you know, Indonesia is a large market, you have 270 million people, but the trouble, again, is like, how do you find a good fit among these people? And what we do is very simple. We run a scan of the people's profile of who the companies are looking for and provide them the match. It's a very straightforward mechanism. And implementing Blue strategy, so what we do is specifically for white collars. In fact, I think we are the only job portal targeting white collars in Indonesia. Others usually is a mix. For blue collars, you get like a lot of companies targeting blue collars. And I think that's something that really changed our life, you know, by going for like a niche market, and once we have like a beach point, then we expand. So very glad that I actually read the book. When I met you, I was like, is this like the same program as like the book writer? And it turned out to be same, so I'm very glad that I'm here. I learned a lot from like the Blue Ocean Strategy. Like, if you didn't read the book, you probably think like it's a red and blue, you know. Blue, you do something entirely new, AI, for example. But even in something that is all like existing, if you find like a niche, that's also a Blue Ocean Strategy. We also do mentoring. Buneta, I think you mentioned it. So what we do is we focus on white collars, and to answer your question specifically, I think you're right that I think the main problem is the skill mismatch. I was very surprised to know that when I was in college, like 10, 12 years ago, like I learned like A, for example, and now they're still teaching the exact same thing. Almost nothing changed, right? And I feel like that's something that we all know, but I'm just very curious about like, how does the government think about this? Because I'm sure, you know, like everyone here knows. I mean, not to mention someone like Pak Sandi, not to mention our ministers. But I just wonder, like, what is the background of like, why are the things not changing here? Because the impact is tremendous, right? Because then companies would think like, it's so tough to hire people. I probably take, I'm not sure if I can say this, but you see so many Thai people working here right now. So many Malaysian working here right now. So many Singaporean working here right now. Like, I'm not saying that's a problem, but I'm saying that we have an opportunity to grow the locals, for them to fit into the society, the business world. That's the first one. I'm inspired by my friend here because he shared something that is like very personal. I want to share something personal as well. Generally, we only think skill mismatch is the problem when it comes to like job seeking, job finding. But after doing like job matching, so we are not expanding to blue collars as well. Trying to do a different brand, expanding there. We try to find like, what is a beach point that we can enter first? Like what is the biggest pain point that we can enter? And during the process, we found out for people who want to work in public, in Lokasi, for example, factories, the major challenge is not their lack of skills. I mean, how can you differentiate between A and B when they have the probably like very similar skill set? You have to like give money to the recruiter. And when we went there and like tried to find out more, they told us, because this is the system. Once the recruiter takes the money, he will also give the people, the similar recruiters, then also the preman. Right? So you go through like a third party, which is the preman, and then the preman goes to the recruiter, or it could be other way around. So very tough to penetrate the market. And I wonder if this is a problem that is part of like the, I know, Pak Sandi, as much as he's doing for Indonesia right now, his field is tourism, but I'm just wondering like how Pak Sandi views like all of this. Thank you so much, Pak.
Thank you, Mas Andika. And you are a Harvard graduate?
Harvard Law School, right?
Harvard Law School, and one of your investors is also your alma mater, right?
So we went to YC, very, very fortunate, and I'm very privileged to learn like a lot from that program. That's why I'm very passionate to join like programs like this, because like when else can I meet someone like Mr. Bong and also other people where I can learn like so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mas Andika. So good luck to you. And so we have Mr. Haris Shim. And we talked before, you're from Korea.
Yes.
And you are running the Korean and Indonesian business,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Both. And you were talking about blue collar. Mr. Haris Shim is there already. So I don't know, maybe you can collaborate or else.
Great.
Anyway, so we are focusing now on the gig economy. I mean, that is you talk a lot about that, when you promote your company. You are looking at impacting the environment of the blue collars. So one of the issues was mentioned by Andika, but you are currently serving more on the hospitality tourism sector, right? And you even have hiring experts also, so the same as Mas Fala before, yeah? This is how you bridge the gap, right? So, work today, pay tomorrow. That's your tagline. Again, same as your colleague, our colleague here. You entered just last year.
Yes, last year.
But in Singapore, 2015, Vietnam, 2022. So
Correct.
you must see the opportunity of this. And despite, of course, there are some challenges which we can talk about also. So independent contractors, freelancers, are you seeing this as the future of work? Is this something that people are aiming for? I mean, is that how you see the opportunity?
It's definitely a new horizon in the work scene. So people will not only be working at one job, but will be looking for multiple jobs for, of course, more experiences and more income. So I'm seeing this trend especially in the developed countries. But I would like to prepare with our team in Indonesia for more job opportunities. Allow me to introduce myself a bit. My name is Harris. As explained, I'm Korean. I grew up in Indonesia. Last year, actually. So after exiting my small startup in Korea, I was thinking what to do next. But I'm personally excited by the word blue, because Korea is probably one of the most red markets in the world. So I was really pressurized while I was doing my startup in Korea. So I decided to come back to Indonesia, not only because it's my hometown, but also because Indonesia with lots of resources, especially human resource. I thought Indonesia was a great market for me to challenge to the next level. And so now I'm here doing a small startup, but we have a big mission. We would like to empower the next billion workers in the world. And I believe everything can start from Indonesia, because Indonesia, I don't know, I think this is a common mistake that we usually make. We always underestimate ourselves and our neighbors. For example, me being Korea, we say, Korea's not good, Korea's meh. That's what Koreans say to Koreans. And I think this happens in Indonesia as well. Indonesian workers are this and that. But as per my experience, I used to work in the States, in Korea, and now in Indonesia. Indonesian workers have a great potential. So it's just that Indonesian people don't know. Because Indonesian people are very rajin, very hardworking. And if you compare the world wages to the other countries, Indonesians are very competitive. So I'm actually imagining this day when Indonesian workers have more opportunities to, let's say, work in Korea, Japan, or other developed countries, there will be a lot more jobs creation for the economy of Indonesia. So I'd like to say, that's a job creation and a great add value for Indonesia. And creating jobs. Maybe creating jobs is also important, but maybe empowering while we have the current workers in Indonesia could also be a creative way to empower the economy and also contributing to the society. While running this startup, so my startup, we are focusing on matching blue-collar or gig workers with the companies that are in need of those workers. So these two different parties have their own interest, Workers, their interest lies in their individual or their family. Employers, of course, profits. So these interests always conflict to each other. So I think this is where government or bigger parties can play. We need a fair referee. We need a fair arbitrator whose interest lies for the country, the national benefits. Because, in the end of the day, we want our people, we want our country to flourish, right? So I think that's where I seek the most support. Looking back to Korean history, let's say 60 years ago, Korea was one of the most poor countries in the world. You may think, Korea with K-pop, we just, popped up to be one of the rising stars in the world, but no, our grandparents, fathers of grandparents, they worked really hard. They were all blue-collar workers. My grandparents, went to Saudi Arabia to build those high buildings, which is really risky, but we all started from blue-collar. When you give more opportunities to blue-collar, they will seek more education, more opportunities, and that's when they turn into gray collar or white collar, and that eventually will all contribute to the growth of the company, the country, not company. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to bring in here. So how navigating environment, I am very psyched. I'm very excited every day for me being in Indonesia compared to Korea. Everyone complains about traffic in Indonesia, right? But I'm so happy being in Indonesia because it's the blue ocean. We have so many people. Well, maybe the only complaint is that we have oversupply of workers in here. So we just need to have more reviews of the workers. We need to be able to categorize who's good at what jobs. That's all we need. So I'm very grateful for me being in Indonesia, for being in here. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harishim. Mr. Ian Betts, sorry for waiting. As an analyst, expert in risk, right? Actually, if you can comment a little bit, from the discussion, anything that has been also discussed in your forums. Your floor, please.
Thank you very much, Ibu Neta, and thank you to Dr. Bong and Pak Sandi for the invitation to be here today. It's a terrific forum. It's a small forum, but it's a very powerful forum. So, when I hear the accounts and stories that I'm hearing just now, it's making me feel a little old. But to be honest, there's an advantage to playing the long game. I'm fortunate, I feel fortunate that I can still remember president taxis. I'm not sure that that many other people here still remember the president taxi here. I've been long enough for that, 32 years. So I've seen a lot of change in Indonesia, and the vast majority of that change has been remarkably positive. And it's a period of very fast-moving change that we're seeing now, particularly in technology, and this is impacting the two areas that Pat Sandi focused on earlier: jobs and job creation, prices and price volatility and stability. And those are the two areas I'll comment on briefly at the end. But firstly, just a note on us. Castle Asia is a membership program, so we have more than 90 corporate, diplomatic and multilateral agencies and organizations in our membership. So we are, on a weekly basis, taking the temperature of business throughout Indonesia in so many different areas of the economy. Most recently, we've gone into digital, so we're very active in the digital industries as well, promoting them and understanding how the digital industries are impacting and changing the landscape of Indonesia's economy and indeed the region. I mentioned playing the long game earlier, and it has been a long period of change that I've seen here since the 90s in Indonesia. But perhaps the greatest and fastest change has been just in the last few years. But Sandy, you mentioned that there are now wars going on in the world. It wasn't always that way, just a few short years ago. Every January, I'm very keen to see the World Economic Forum issue its World Risk Report. They do that in January, and they list what businesses around the world perceive to be the top 10 risks for the coming year, as perceived by business. Back in 2022, in January, I looked at that report and I thought, right, I'm going to get ready to make my slides and report on this to our membership. Bottom of the list was international conflict and geopolitics. That was January 2022. February 2022, war broke out in Ukraine, and the entire risk index had to be turned on its head. Number 10, international conflict and geopolitics, became number 1. Followed closely by climate change and climate change impacts, and the impact of technology and disruption on business. It's only been 2 years since then. We're just out of COVID. Indonesia and the countries of ASEAN and around the region are still recovering from that, and Indonesia's recovering very well from it. But technology, adapting to technology, has been a key part of that very fast change. But Donnie talked about the parking industries and the smart industries we're seeing now. Who carries cash these days? Who pays cash for anything? You almost don't need to carry cash these days. Indonesia's advance in the digital industries has been incredibly fast. But there's still a lot to do, and I'll be brief. I'll focus on these 2 key points of jobs and price volatility. Perhaps price volatility first. Looking at the Blue Ocean Strategy terms of reference and the agenda points for today, I think it's important to recognize that price volatility for staple goods in Indonesia and perhaps also easing inflationary pressures really goes together. Much of that is happening at the policy level, and we're seeing the government struggle with difficult policies right now. Every day in the media, we're seeing the impact of Ministry of Trade Regulation 36 of 2023 on imports, on industry. There have been very high-level chamber representations made to government on that, and a review of that is likely. But it's also the case in the industries that support the staple food and consumer goods here in Indonesia. And perhaps the key areas I would focus on are those that we can have an impact on in businesses around this room. So for example, in agriculture and in preserving the staple goods that Indonesia produces for its population, the staple products of food, for example. We need to focus again on technology with data, the availability of good data, and the utilization of technology with companies such as we've already seen in the Blue Ocean Strategy, e-fisheries, e-agriculture, etc., the utilization of technology in those industries to boost the production of farmers across Indonesia in the production of foodstuffs for the domestic market. Hand in hand with the use of technology and the autonomy that technology brings to those individual smallholders and farmers is the use of storage. By providing low-tech storage options to farmers across Indonesia, and these technologies are available at low cost, we can ensure that farmers have the ability to not only control their production through technology, through their smartphones, but also control the products themselves by storing them in localized silos, preventing the maneuvers of market forces that compel them to sell at the lowest possible price during the year to the benefit of the market, but not to the benefit of the farmers. This will help to stabilize the prices for these goods across the country, and I think will help the incoming government to meet the challenges of the inflation instabilities that we're seeing, not just in Indonesia, but to which we're subject across the world with the supply chain crisis that we've seen resulting from the conflict in the Middle East, the conflict in Ukraine and Russia, the impact on energy, the impact on the transport of goods, for example. Now, on a final point, because I know we need to move on and I need to be brief, the the generation of jobs goes hand in hand with that. Technology plays a major role in the production of jobs, and it's so exciting for me to see startups have such a prominent place in around tables like this. For example, in jobs, in disruption. I actually believe we're in the post-disruption mode now. It's no longer a case of which industry is the next to be disrupted. Disruption is now the normal, and we are now looking at challenger industries emerging in almost every sector in industry. And that's good, it's positive, it's normal, and challenger businesses are to be embraced because they are the agents of change. But in the production of jobs, we need to focus on the cultivation and utilization of technology, education and training, and focusing on Indonesia's more productive sectors. So if we need to move into high-end electronic production to support the technological innovations, let's do that. And let's put a package of policies around labor, around manufacturing, imports, licensing and approvals for manufacturing that allows both foreign investors and domestic players to have a level playing field and produce goods in Indonesia for export in order to compete with Thailand and Vietnam in the way that we currently cannot do, because we are hampered by the regulatory and policy platform that Indonesia imposes on foreign investment and its own domestic industry. Local content regulations, import restrictions, some of these policies are not thought out to the degree they ought to be in terms of supporting industry. I don't think there's any secret in saying that. So Indonesia should be moving towards focusing on new industries while conserving the very best of its existing industries in order to take advantage of the change that's coming in technology. It should also be stressing the needs for education and that for taking advantage of the demographic bonus that the country has in the vast tens of millions of young people entering the workforce. These are people who we need to find jobs for, who are coming into a much better educational environment than their parents and grandparents were ever exposed to. And the time is now to capitalize on that and bring them into new areas of the economy where they can benefit both from technology and the international forces that are impacting on Indonesia on a regular basis. I'll leave it there, but happy to take any further comments. Ibu Neta, thank you.
Thank you so much. Your contributions are very much appreciated. Mr. Ian Betts, now perhaps it's time for our distinguished fellow, Pak Sandi.
Maybe I would like to give a floor shortly, maybe to Pak Alex and Pak Fitra, just to say a few words, some of our current thinking. And I think Ibu Dia just left the room for another engagement, but we're taking notes, and she's in charge of human capital and resources. And Ibu Yulia is here. Pak Anggara Hayun handles the access to finance for industry and investment team at the ministry. And also we're talking about regulations. Pak Robin is director in charge of regulations. So we're taking notes, and thank you for all your valuable inputs. Maybe start with Pak Alex.
Thank you, Pak Sandi. Firstly, let me introduce myself. I'm Alex. I'm a CEO of Sandinomics, very obvious. We are sort of a think tank. We are a bunch of scholars and professionals who gather quite frequently and discuss issues, especially economics. One of them is Pak Fitra, a prominent scholar from University of Indonesia. He will introduce himself later. Thank you very much also to be involved in Blue Ocean Strategic Fellowship as an associate fellow. Thank you, Pak Bong, Mr. Bong, Dr. Bong, and all the team. It was a very pleasant interaction, and I learned a lot. So I just want to highlight a bit about the disruption. It's a thing that I'm always thinking about it. This technology advancement, it's that consequence you cannot avoid, that it reduces jobs, the human jobs. That's the reality. That's one thing. And secondly, the other thing is that you cannot stop it. You cannot put some regulation to stop the advancement of technology. That's impossible. So what is really important of that is that how we meaning the humankind, the people, can adapt with that. And adapting is not only about how we do in our current system that is where jobs have to be somehow, we have to be accommodated in this current system. So I'm always thinking, and I don't think any of us or anybody have come to a conclusion. There is a discussion about universal, what is salary, people, government giving basic income, universal basic income. But after we see the pandemic, government giving money just like that, it just distort the market and put a lot of inflation. So it's a thing that we have to think, we have to think. But the very important thing is one of the philosophy of Sandi, as I really also believe, is that we need constantly adapt. We have to adapt, especially the business community. We have to always put, like Ian, that's also mentioned, is we are post disruption. It's constant disruption now, and we have to be constantly alert and constantly adapt, and we have to do it fast and right, because only adapting, but your wrong adaptation is also can be damaging. So it's not going to be easy, but if you can do it, you can be the winner. And I believe many of us here are the winners. So let's put that afloat, and later we can also discuss, and I also would like to hear from Pak Fitra later. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Fitra. I have 3 affiliations actually. So I'm also the faculty member in University of Indonesia in Faculty of Economics and Business. I'm also with Sandinomics and also with the market, Samuel Securitas. So it's actually, you know, a typical Indonesian faculty member. So you cannot find it in Singapore, right? So because, okay. So in the light of skill mismatch, I agree, because I'm also university professor. I'm seeing that my students are actually, you know, they are making startups right now, but they're also seeing that getting jobs now is a bit more challenging, because of the skill mismatch, and what the university teach them is not actually compatible with the industrial needs. So that's actually also the difficulties in terms of employment creation nowadays. And as a matter of fact, for the last 5 years, the middle class are actually quite suffering. So we have the net welfare gain for the last 5 years actually quite negative. So we have, for example, in terms of chunk of income, 20% of the higher up. We have also the 40% of the bottom. So 20% of the higher up doesn't matter, they don't have issues. The 40% in the bottom, the government is actually taking care of them. We have the bansos, we have the, all kind of stuffs. But the 40% in the middle, they're suffering, but the government is not doing anything. So if you see the increase in pinjol, and also pinjol is actually the peer-to-peer lending, which is okay, fintech, okay, it's actually part of intermediaries, so it's actually part of banking system, supporting the banking system. It's actually quite inclusive, but at the same time, we are seeing that the middle class, in the bank account, less than 100 million, is now going, downward, and the bank account up to 2 billion upward is actually going up. So we have the K-shaped growth. Right, so we see this in Indonesian term as mantap, makan tabungan. So, so people are going out of jobs because of also the pandemic, and now they are going to informal sectors, the micro entrepreneurs and so on and so forth. So we are seeing that the data in the micro entrepreneurs during the pandemic is going up, 100,000 of more people becoming a micro entrepreneur, which is good. But at the same time, they're actually out of their formal jobs. So if we are seeing that nowadays, the unemployment rate is quite okay. The inflation is less than 3%. But why in February, the consumer confidence index dropped from 125 to 123, and it was the worst since the last 3 years. And the three sub brackets are actually jobs, availability, and prices. So why is that? Because, okay, they are having jobs, but it's not the good quality jobs. The price is okay, but their income is cannot catching up. So we need good quality jobs. Blue-collar workers should be good jobs, okay? But the thing is, when you're seeing the wage level, the wage is quite, steadily going up, but the productivity level is quite stagnant. That is why the industry, the investors are not coming to Indonesia. So that's actually the problem. So the root cause is coming back again to the university, coming back again to the polytechnics, the vocational schools. So we cannot do FOMO. We cannot do, not FOMO, but bandwagon. So if people are going that, we are going that way. So we need to have a clear roadmap. So the mapping of the Indonesian employments and Indonesian industry, so that with that we can actually match the industries and so on and so forth. And inflation is now slowly becoming a specter for the Indonesian economy. So if you're seeing the geopolitical tensions, of course we are still doing okay, but what is actually the most troubling is if we have the imported inflation. So that is actually one of the problem maybe in the next 6 months, because of the geopolitical tensions. We have the imported inflations. The producers are actually getting into tensions, and they cannot actually price in the consumer with the higher price because they know that the consumer cannot endure the price hike. So what they are doing is, just like Pak Sandi told us 5 years ago, shrinkflation. Pak Sandi told us, tempe setipis ATM, right? So there is actually shrinkflation. The price is still the same, but the size is getting smaller. So yeah, shrinkflation. We call it shrinkflation. So yeah, this is actually the problems that are still here. It's classic problems, jobs and prices, but yeah, need to be taken care of.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fitra. Okay, thank you. I wish I had you in the faculty member when I was there. Well, thank you so much. So I think
he can do the fourth job.
Fourth job, right, amazing.
He mentioned about the roadmap, and that roadmap should be a blue ocean roadmap, because what we're doing over and over again have not been able to address the two issues. And I have a definitions of insanity. A definition of insanity is keep on doing the same stuff with expecting different results. Why every time people want to invest here, like Tim Cook invests in Apple, we're comparing it to Vietnam. And we keep on beating ourselves, but actually one of the areas is our productivity is low. You guys should address that. We also need to step in by way of providing the right sets of educations and increase in skill sets. And this is something that I find it remarkable from all of you. So I would not really come into detail, but because of the interest of time, I'm very fascinated with Pak Fala because you pick the sectors that is really now top of the mind with climate change and with issues surrounding the industry. The Dubai case, for instance, this is a classic example of climate crisis. They have, in one day, 2 years worth of rains. And this is, you call it black swan, but it's happening more and more now. So how do you deal with it? Your idea about putting HSE in the tourism ministry, we put a C in front, which is cleanliness, which is because of COVID, health, safety, and environmental sustainability. It's really key, and I'm really looking forward to work with you on digital tourism and also tourism safety, because the two main issues of tourism is other than the cost of the tourism itself is actually safety. And we have many incidents of safety issues in the tourism and recreational areas. I think Pak Doni, from the Lebaran break, the two top issues of tourism and creative economy is actually parking and tukang palak. Tukang palak is meaning there's thugs who come to you while you're having vacation saying, pay me this. But I already pay parking. No, but you need to pay more. So we need to work closer with the industry. Every year during Lebaran, it's always parking, causing traffic, and ballooning cost of parking for some of this. You call it a surge in people going into recreational areas, but they should be working with smart parking in terms of providing the right sets of ecosystem as well as providing safety. And the thugs could be employed as your satpam probably, so they can earn their money more on a legally basis. So the cost of parking, and it's a lot of, when I was in Jakarta, it's something that I started, I don't know now, but this is within the tourism areas what we need. And thank you for your input on OSS. This is something that we heard many times before. So maybe needs to be fixed soon rather than later. I'm very happy that I had a chance to know Pak Andika, and he's a very, very young and brave man. Hopefully, and being young here, I also face the same like Pak Falah. When I started my business, it was definitely not a good thing to mention my age back then, because some of the potential clients or partners probably twice my age at that time, and they would ask me, what do you know about the industry? You're too young. You don't have track record. And this is something that I believe you guys have handled it very well. You graduated from HLS. That's the toughest school to get into. And I'm really hopefully be able to work with you on opportunity to match the skills and necessity by the industry. And many of us thought about rats all over the place when we are together. Oh, too much competition here, too much. But actually, if you found a niche, pretty much like you did, you'd be able to take this opportunity. And for Pak Haris, welcome back to Indonesia. You have Drakor, Korean dramas. We have Drahor, drama horror. So Indonesia is hopefully making its way. And I remember when Korea was not this rich before, because I had a chance to interact when Korea in the late 70s, early 80s was struggling in the basically garment business, textile industries. But now you graduated, so this is something that I guess I learned how you turn blue to gray to white, and you believe Indonesia is a great blue ocean. Being an arbitrage positions for the government in terms of workers and employers, I'm very, very eager to to be working with you. And finally, Ian, thank you for recognizing that you know President Taxi. When I mentioned President Taxi, nobody here. It's a yellow. It was great. So those are in the 1990s. Thank you on your jobs input. But prices volatility. This is something that I kept on asking the team, myself, because we know that every single Ramadan, price will go up. Why not business created some mechanism to deal with it and to make money out of it? When I was in Jakarta government, I recognized this, so I deal direct with the farmers. We dealt direct with the traders so that we book, because I already know by big data how many chilies Jakartans will consume on a yearly basis, how many rices that they will need to consume, and their behavior of pattern, because it's psychological. If they know that they will be consuming more at the end of Ramadan, they tend to overstock. So we invest along the supply chain, including what we call CAS, controlled atmosphere storage. This would allow chilies to be stored for 6 months rather than becoming perishable right after we bought. So we work with farmers, we work with traders, and on my short stint in Jakarta, less than a year, we managed for the very first time not to have price inflations during Ramadan, through exactly what you mentioned about storage, improving the farmers' data, and putting technology in. I believe some of this knowledge would get institutionalized in Jakarta and hopefully be able to get a much better supply chain, because it's always supply and demand. When you have limited supply or you are perceived to have limited supply, price will rise because the demand is actually there. You could project the demand, but when you have higher demand because of perceptions that it will be a lack of supply, then you see price volatility. So I'm eager to get businesses to assist government in terms of making sure that price will continue to be stable and be affordable. And this is, now number one. It used to be jobs, top of mind of Indonesians. Now it's cost of living. Everybody said, I have jobs, but would my income be able to afford cost of education for my sons, cost of health for my parents? And these are sandwich generations. They have to take care of their parents. They have to take care of their kids. So this is something that we believe our discussion here could yield in a very small matters. And that's why all the government leaders are here. They take notes. And this is actually part of my transition team, because we are ending the government, this current government, in October. Hopefully, the knowledge that we gather here, we would pass to the next administrations, and for them to be able to continue the engagement and the discussions, so that we could tackle the two top issues that Indonesians are having. So maybe this is where I end my remarks, and happy to pass to Ibu Neta, but please feel free. I know everybody is hungry. What time it is? Is it 1? Oh, 1 exactly. Now food has to come out. Thank you, Ibu Neta.
Thank you so much.
Please bring in the food.
Pak Sandi Uno, our distinguished fellow, thank you very much for concluding and responding to our CEO's wishes and commenting and everything. Thank you for the associate fellows' contributions as well. Dr. Bong, anything you wish to add?
While we're waiting for the food.
if I were to bring one thing for you to take home, it will be this, because Blue Oceans is about creating values. It's not about just using technology. Technology is just simply enabler and accelerator of that value. So you think about idea like Starbucks. Why is it Starbucks so successful? Because they create a value that people want to be there. And how about now we have a new industry that come up with, like say, well-being industry. So well-being industry in this day and age is very fast-growing industry. Now, you don't necessarily need to have a lot of technology. If you have no value, no matter how much technology you add, it's not going to work. However, Indonesia now is at a junction that where you can make use of one technology. You think about it, we haven't quite talked about it in this room, is AI. AI. Our minister talked about data-driven. AI is very important. Think about mobile phone helps the farmer to match the demand and supply. But that is still some work of calculation and monitoring. Whereas if you input a layer of AI, it will automatically predict for you that. So the question now I leave with this team here is that, do you actually worry about matching the job between employer and the workforce, or you are now talking about redesigning the job? So if you redesign the job, it will fit the industry redesign the job will fit the university. University will redesign the curriculum, and then the positive cycle will happen. The graduate will come out with the right job. Just think about that so simply. But of course, things are not so simple. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bong. Our guests, anything you would like to add further? Anything? Pak Alex, Pak Fitra, Ibu? Cukup? Mr. Ian, please.
Perhaps just one thing, and that's once again to thank Dr. Bong for this forum, and perhaps just to say that I'm sure I speak for everyone here, we'd be very happy to continue to engage and to make this a connected forum that goes forward, so that what we learn and understand and discover and explore today will help to support other meetings going forward. These themes, we cannot solve them in one session. We cannot even identify and address them in one session. We need to continue. So I'm sure I speak for everyone here, and it's great to meet people I haven't met before here today. We'd be happy to continue to engage in whatever capacity you may be in, Pak Sandi, and also Dr. Bong and the Blue Ocean strategy. So please, I'm sure I speak for us all in saying we'd be happy to be a resource for this forum going forward. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ian Betts has been in our previous forum. So yes, agree that we would like to continue this. Thank you very much on behalf of Blue Ocean Strategy Forum. Again, thank you, and please stay because lunch is coming. So again, thank you very much. I don't know whether we are doing a photo session now or after lunch, so please stay, and then we can have more informal discussions. I think Pak Menteri is still here, and this is a good opportunity. Thank you, and please enjoy your lunch.